Well, we start this episode, not the greatest news, unfortunately. We found out just an hour ago that Richmond Webb did not make it to the next round for his journey into Canton. So that is not a great way to start our Saturday morning, but thank you all for tuning in this morning to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show.
That's right. And it's very disappointing. They didn't really promote it because I think they don't want to let those that were going to be disappointed find out about it and get prepped for it. So they announced it like at 9 o'clock. We knew it was going to be announced today, but there's 3 NFL games. We didn't know exactly when they were going to release the information. And then word got out, and you tweeted it out that it was going to be put on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, and they were going to make the announcement then at 10 o'clock. Prior to all the games started, and it was unfortunate and not the news that we were hoping for. But I'm still wearing my Richmond Webb for Canton for Pro Football Hall of Fame shirt, and we will, if anything, inspires us to get the word out there more and make sure that next year not only is he on this finalist list, he is announced as an NFL Hall of Famer on NFL Honors the weekend of the Super Bowl next year.
No, definitely. So. Richmond already shared some words of encouragement. He's obviously supportive of that, and that's the type of man he is. He's already supporting the guys who did make it on to the next round. So it just goes to show you, it's not about him. He's more about the bigger picture. Keith already had room set and car rentals, and we're all prepared to make the trip to Canton again this August, and unfortunately that will not be happening. Just not great news on a Saturday.
Yep, I do want to mention the list of some of the guys that did make the cut: Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jahari Evans, Antonio Gates, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Steve Smith Sr., Suggs, Fred Taylor from Jacksonville, just a couple names, and of course
Adam Vinatieri, Manning.
Adam Vinatieri is a kicker, so that always hurts when you put a kicker. It's at the end of the day, it's a kicker. It's got one job. It's a lot different. So kickers need to, in my opinion, wait a lot. I understand he hit some clutch kicks. I get it, but he's a kicker, all right? And then Reggie Wayne, don't want to leave him out. A couple other guys, but I want to highlight some of the big names. Reggie Wayne from the University of Miami, Peyton Manning's second target next to Marvin Harrison, obviously very deserving. So those are a couple of big names that were that made the final 15. It's not easy, less than 300 people total are enshrined in Canton, so it's a big deal. And every year, a couple hundred get nominated. You dwindle that list down to 50. The second round is the final 25, which Richmond was a part of. For the semifinalist list, he had never been there before, so that's tremendous traction. And then, obviously, from 25, they went to 15 today, and those are your final 15 finalists. 7 or 8 will be announced as the new inductees during the NFL Honors, again, during Super Bowl weekend.
Definitely. But back to business, guys. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas to everybody. And I hope your, time that you got to hopefully spend with your families was wonderful. For those who have the full 2 weeks off, bah humbug, lucky you guys. For those who have to, work and everything, we have one more holiday coming up next week with New Year's. And just kind of backtracking and wishing everybody, hopefully had a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, I want to backtrack one more time. I know you said let's move on, but I got to mention, one of the things that they mentioned on Good Morning Football is Luke Kuechly, right? From Luke Kuechly from Carolina Panthers, who had a great career. He was a first-time nominee this year and made the final 15. And one of the things that they mentioned was that here he is, a guy that was a member of the all 2010 teams, decade teams. And Richmond Webb was a member of the 1990 All-Decade team.
He got robbed, though. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And
the linebacker obviously can get stats in a various amount of ways. You can get sacks, tackles, interceptions, fumble returns. That Richmond Webb doesn't, a lineman cannot get those kind of stats. And so it's just, when you're going to do one, you got to do the other. And so I believe that the 90s decade team alone is deserving of him being in the Hall of Fame, amongst countless of other things. So hopefully we're going to continue this campaign. I know we will, and different result next year, right?
We'll keep trying. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
We are the voice of reason for Richmond to get him into Canton, Ohio on his journey to get a gold jacket.
Yep.
So
We're trying.
2025, put it on the New Year's resolution.
Yes.
Fighting. So yeah, we are coming off a Dolphins win. It feels like it was such a long time ago. It's almost 6 days ago. 49ers came to town. 49ers fans, I said this going into this game, they travel well. They did not disappoint in the amount of fans that showed up there. They were all over in the 300 level, 100 club. Like it was a sea of red.
Yeah,
for sure. And it wasn't a sea of red being Santa Claus. It was the 49ers red. And what made it worse is that our cheerleaders wore their little Santa outfits, which was the same pretty much color as their red. So it's like they even had our beautiful cheerleaders supporting them as well.
Yeah, the pom-poms were silver, but when
it was
they
the same color
when
as the
they
49ers.
when they put the 49ers are gold, but when you put it in the light, they looked like they were gold. They were shining gold, so they looked like they were wearing 49ers outfits. Even I had red shoes on because it was Christmas and 2 days before Christmas, and you had your red Santa hat on, so we were repping the 49ers colors a little bit, but. No, make no mistake about it. A lot of 49er fans showed up at the Hard Rock last night.
No, it's just an organization, a team that travels well. They've always traveled well, 49er faithful. So shout out to them for those who live here and who've made the trek over because you definitely made your sound and they heard you, right?
They're one of the premier franchises in the NFL, 5 Super Bowls, and
fans all over.
They're coming off a Super Bowl. They lost obviously last year to the Chiefs, but they're coming off a Super Bowl. So, and we mentioned in the show last week that if at the beginning of the year, 49ers Dolphins at the end of the year, this was supposed to be a huge game with division title implications, possibly number 1 overall seeds, and the 49ers were actually eliminated at the start of the game last week. And, of course, we're still alive, barely. We'll get into those scenarios in a moment. But no one would have thought that you were going to have a couple of 6 and 8 teams playing in that Week 16 game last week.
On our drive up to the game, one of the radio broadcasters said it's like the most disappointing matchup of the week just because this game, like you said, had so many implications that it could have been.
Was supposed to have, yeah.
Could have been, yeah.
Right.
And then it ended up just being, I don't want to say fluff, but due to a lot of injuries on both teams, that it was just heavy fluff. It was a heavy fluff game. There's no implications. So,
but we still had a great time. It was a win. Of course, Sheldon, our good friend Sheldon Young, great friend of the program, and contest winner of our show at the beginning of the year, joined us for the game. So that was awesome. Came all the way down from South Carolina. It's great to hang out with him, and glad he got to see it win. Glad we got to see it win. And
finally, it's feels like forever. It's something that us Dolphin fans, especially this season, we cannot take for granted, as opposed to these other franchises like the Chiefs and the Eagles. They go into these games feeling like they're going to win, and they usually do. Yeah. But with us, we've just had such a roller coaster of a season. The games where we should have won, the Texans, the Titans, that we just don't. It was really good. It's Colts. It was really good to leave that game winning potentially our last home game of the season. Well, it was our last home game of the season, regular season.
Yeah, no, like our playoff chances are in life support right now. Even if we were to get in, it's highly unlikely that we would be able to host a playoff game. We'd have to be the 6th seed and host the 7th seed. So it's just a lot of that was the last game of the Hard Rock. To put things in a nutshell, that was the last time until next September that we'll be at Hard Rock Stadium.
It was a 1%. So moving forward, because let's keep moving forward to things, right? New Year's come moving forward. We have a 1% shot of making the playoffs. And
I think it's a little bit more than that, but
they're saying 1%. Maybe they're just saying it's around.
They were just saying that. I think the actual number is 10%, but it may be 1%, and it might be 0% by the end of the day's game. But we'll get into it. I didn't want to, quickly. It was the last home game of the year, so we want to just recap it really quick. Dolphins got on the board early on. The 49ers then took a lead, but the Dolphins sealed it with a big run, 50-yard rushing touchdown by Devon Achane. He had a huge game.
Sanders was perfect. That was amazing.
Yep. Devon Achane had a 120 yards rushing, 70 yards receiving, and, of course, that big touchdown 50-yard rumble that sealed the game. So that was awesome. And, it was a good way to go out. They pretty much controlled the game, as mentioned, with the exception of the 49ers scoring that early touchdown to take a 7-3 lead. It was Dolphins the rest of the way, sealed by that touchdown. You mentioned Sanders was 5 for 5. He was monstrous. Again, he's been on tear. He's missed a couple extra points that we took exception with that really could have made a difference and did make a difference in the Texans game. But besides that, kicking the ball anywhere from distance, he's been money.
Yeah.
He connected on a 54-yarder which was the longest in this previous game. And you got to give him credit. He's been balling.
No, I agree. So it was fantastic to see that. And also the defense looked tremendous as well. Obviously, going back 2 weeks ago against the Jets, we kind of saw a decline in our defense, picked it up a little bit against the Texans, and then it seemed like all came together against the Niners last week.
Yeah, Purdy is an elusive quarterback. He actually had a good game throwing the ball.
He met Dan Marino before the game.
He met Dan Marino. Cool. We talked about how Marino was his idol because his dad was Dan Marino's idol.
He wears 13 because of Dan Marino.
Correct. So that was pretty cool. And so look, Brock Purdy's got some legs on him. He can run around, and the Dolphins got him on the ground 3 times. Jordan Brooks sacked him. Zach Sealer sacked him, and the big one was Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson got another sack after starting his first 9 games as a pro, as a rookie, with no sacks. He's now had sacks in 6 of his last 8 games. So talk about coming on strong towards the end of the year. That's a very promising sign, and we hope that continues. He could build on that, and so that's very encouraging and awesome to see.
Yeah, no. So obviously coming off the win this week, our Dolphins head to Cleveland in the cold Cleveland tundra to go against the Browns.
It's not going to be that cold. It actually was cold yesterday.
Okay, it's cold. It's not as cold as it could potentially be.
Have you checked the game time temperature?
Yeah, it's like 40 degrees.
No, it's not. It's the Dolphins. They're suspected tomorrow at 4 p.m. It's going to be a 62-degree temperature.
That doesn't even sound possible.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
In almost January?
Yep, exactly. So Cleveland in almost January.
That's when we leave our air conditioner on. We can play in that.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So obviously you didn't check your weather update, but it's going to be a balmy temperature for kickoff tomorrow. Expected to be 62 degrees off Lake Erie there. And so we'll see. We'll see how it's not going to the narrative, as people like to say, where Dolphins are going to be going into this cold atmosphere and possibly snow is not going to be the case tomorrow. So we will.
You sure that's not?
Sure, I saw it this morning. So we're looking at a 62-degree game time temperature is what's being predicted for tomorrow.
It's also going to pour and rain as well.
It may pour, but it's not going to snow. So the Dolphins are going to go into a winning atmosphere, a good opportunity there to it's going to be pleasant weather. In other words, it's not going to be miserable and dreary like it
could potentially be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of course, the game was flexed out of prime time, so that would have made it even worse, being in a nighttime with no sun around. So that's not the case. And like I said, it's going to be 62 degrees expected at game time kickoff tomorrow.
But unfortunately for us, that game could really mean nothing. And if we are officially eliminated today, question for you.
Yep.
Do you play Tua?
I would not. Okay. I'd like to get to the scenarios, second. Let's wrap up. Let's talk about the Browns here and the Dolphins all time. But I wouldn't play him if the Dolphins are eliminated. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Dolphins have a 12-9 record against the Browns overall, so it is a franchise that we have typically beaten over time. So hopefully, but again, it may not matter. So, of course, the win's a win, but if it doesn't matter, then what do? Do you play Tyreek? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you mentioned 12-9 overall record. 6 of those games were in the playoffs. They split 3-3, so they've seen plenty of action with these two teams in the playoffs. And then the most notable, and for a lot of Dolphin fans, you might want to cover your ears, the most notable game that took place between these two teams was 1993. Dan Marino at the old Cleveland Stadium blew out his Achilles, and that was a Dolphins team that was expected to go to the Super Bowl that year. And those dreams and aspirations ended on that Cleveland Stadium football field when Marino blew out his Achilles tendon. So, that's a game that I'll never forget. And a lot of Dolphin fans were in a world of misery after seeing Marino limp off and being carted off the field for the last time that season in 1993.
No, definitely. Well, hopefully Dolphins leave that game unscathed. We are favored to the line 6.5 points. So, I mean, it is favoring us. That is good.
The Browns have not been good this year. They've been pretty bad. They've been really good about giving the football away, specifically when Jameis Winston's been out there and just been, throwing pick sixes like Santa Claus handing out gifts to good kids. So, definitely they have not played up to par. They've had a very bad season. Chubb, the running back who came back from a big injury, is now out again. They obviously traded Amari Cooper to the Bills.
Yeah.
So they've had a lot of mishaps this season.
No, so should be a win. Even moving forward past that, our last game of the season will end at MetLife Stadium next week in Jersey. So we'll see. But a lot of it, again, like you said before, it's not in our hands. You know, what happens today is a huge implication of what our rest of the season may pan out to be. And it's the ball is not in our court to an extent.
Yeah, it's really not. We don't have control as to what we can get done here. But the Dolphins do have a chance. I know it's not what we want to hear, but you got to say it. The Dolphins are going for their third opportunity to get back to 500. Of course, they failed in their previous two opportunities at Green Bay and at Houston, where we were at. But they have not been 500 since week 2 when they were 1-1.
Yeah.
After that, Tua went out during that Bills game, and the rest is history. So the Dolphins have an opportunity here to finally get back to 500 and finish up the season next week in New York with a winning record. I don't know that that's what people were expecting. A lot of people were hoping for multiple playoff wins, not just one. A division win, and so all those things went out the window. So I don't know how many people are going to take solace or hang their hat on the fact that we can finish out with a winning record and get back to 500. No one in their right mind was thinking to be at 500, in week 17. You had bigger aspirations, bigger goals, and sadly those goals went out the window after Tua went on week 2.
Yeah, the season is just dragging on at this point. It's kind of like
not for other teams, but for us.
Of course. It's kind of like if you're going to pull the plug. Like if it's going to happen, just do it. Let's look forward to next season if we have to. Just don't hold us by that 1%, 10%. It is what it is at this point, and let's just move forward. That's all you got to
do. Yeah. All right, so let's go over the playoff scenarios.
Okay.
By now, the Dolphins are on life support here. They need a lot of help. And the fifth seed is out of question because the Steelers hold that spot now, even though they have 7 losses, or I should say, 6 losses. They only have 1 game left. They just played on Wednesday. Week 17 got an early start this year by games being played on Christmas. So the Steelers are not cannot be caught. You got the Chargers in 6th place. They have a 9-7 record. The Broncos also have a 9-7 record. I'm sorry, they both have 9-6 records. So they are tied, but the Chargers have the advantage, so they're in 6th place right now. The Colts are right ahead of us.
And they have a tiebreaker against us too.
Exactly, and that's why they are ahead of us. So the way it looks right now, there's 3 games on the slate today, but only 2 games that matter for Dolphin fans. And they both have immediate results that could eliminate the Dolphins as early as today. The Chargers are playing at New England, and the Broncos are playing at Cincinnati. That Chargers-Patriots game is at 1 o'clock, and the Broncos and Cincinnati play at 4. We need one of those teams to lose. If both teams win those games today, meaning the Chargers and the Broncos and the Dolphins have no path to get into playoffs. So, Dolphin fans need to hope for our nemesis, the New England Patriots, to do us a favor. And then we need the Bengals, who are also still alive, to beat the Broncos at home, which is very likely. That's possible. So long as one of those teams were to lose today, talking again about the Chargers and the Broncos, should one of those 2 teams lose today, the Dolphins will still be alive heading into the game tomorrow.
So you're saying there's still a chance?
There is still a chance. So that's the good part, that hopefully that happens. One of those teams lose today and we're still alive. However, on top of that, we need them to lose again the following week. And here's where it gets a little tougher. The Chargers are at the Raiders, and so that's a division rival. So that I could see it, even though the Raiders are horrible. They're a really bad football team.
They have nothing to lose, though.
Correct. And again, the Chargers and the Raiders are rivals. Actually, I don't know who it was, but I think it was the Chargers that knocked the Raiders out of the playoffs in a do-or-die game 2 years ago. So, maybe the Raiders want payback, and maybe they can help us out that way. But again, that doesn't work unless the Patriots help us out today as well. And then you got the Broncos that are going to be playing the Chiefs. And you would think, wow, the Chiefs, that's a formidable team.
They're going to be starting their players.
Right. They only got 1 loss on the year. I mean, that's a game that could be the Chiefs could win it. But as you mentioned, they've already clinched. They cannot finish any worse than number 1. They've got home field advantage in the AFC playoffs. So
they're not going for a perfect season.
They're not playing for anything. Carson Wentz, who is their backup, if he should get started, he's got something to prove. You know, he was obviously leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl before he got hurt, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl. There was no need for Carson Wentz after that, so he got kind of like, you know, put in the clearance section for NFL quarterbacks. So maybe he's got a little bit of fire and wants to win that game. Who knows? But you're looking at two tough scenarios. And then the biggest one that I really can't see happening is the Colts again, because the fact that they beat us have the tiebreaker. They have to lose a game, and their last two games are not against hard opponents at all. They're playing the Giants tomorrow. Granted, they're on the road, but it's still the Giants, and they're horrible. And then they finish up the season at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars are also a horrible team. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Dolphins to get all this help that they need to backdoor their way into the playoffs.
But where there's a will, there's a way, and I believe in Santa, so we shall see.
Well, I hope you. I asked Santa for Richmond Webb to get into the Hall of Fame. That didn't.
But you weren't good this year, so he doesn't listen to requests from bad boys.
I see. I can see that.
So definitely. So we'll see. I mean, a lot of it's sitting. If you do want to watch some football without being completely stressed out today, our Canes are in the Poptart Bowl. Cam Ward is playing, which I find that to be very selfless of him, knowing that he's going to go into the draft, get drafted relatively early on, and to possibly
it could be the number one pick for
of course, and then to play in this meaningless game, a Poptart Bowl, where.
But let's finish up. We need to get predictions. We're still in the NFL right now. We'll get back to that in a second. But no, look. To answer your question earlier, if the Dolphins are somehow eliminated today, I don't let Tua play. It's just not worth it.
I asked you that. Yeah,
it's just not worth it. I would not allow him to play. I'm thinking you're along the same lines.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
play all season.
Correct. And the fact that it's going to be 62 degrees, it's not even like, oh, well, let him win a game in the cold to prove he could do it. There's no reason for it. There's no reason to play him if we're eliminated.
It's going to be wet. It's going to be rainy. I mean, you're risking a lot right
I just mentioned that Marino was lost in Cleveland for the season, so we don't need that to happen again.
Even other guys, too. Waddle obviously is not 100%. Tyree.
You're right.
Mostert. Like, at that point, everybody.
Yeah. Anybody who's injury prone, I'm glad the Dolphins did get out ahead of it and said that Bradley Chubb will not be coming back this year with 2 games left. Bradley Chubb got injured exactly a year ago this weekend in Baltimore. And that's normally an injury. It takes 8 to 12 months to recover. So why not give him they did do it. I'm glad they did it. You know, the smart thing to do there is to give him the full amount of rest and recovery. And, you know, let's see what he's got next year, because it's not worth it. And I'd say the same thing about Tua and any of the guys that you just mentioned. Waddle, who's another guy that's injury prone all the time.
So much.
You know, I would not let any guy that's proven that they cannot stay healthy or is a little nicked up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him play.
No, play your Jonu. Let him get more touches. Let Chop shine out there. You know, if you're going to do stuff, just, you know, let the rookies kind of, you know, but beyond that, there's no reason for any of that. But
look around the league too. Also, a couple of things that we got going on. A lot of teams have been eliminated, obviously, from playoff contention. But crazy enough, the Falcons, who benched Kirk Cousins and started Penix Jr., they are now in front of the NFC South because the Buccaneers lost to the Cowboys in a game nobody saw happening.
Cowboys picked up a little momentum at the end, a little bit.
They did. They've been actually playing well. They're also a game under 500, and they lost Dak, so they've been playing with Cooper Rush as their quarterback. So give them credit. They didn't just fold, and they're fighting, and they really put the Bucs at a bad spot now, because the Bucs, who were leading that division for the last 5-6 weeks, are now in jeopardy of not making the playoffs, because the only chance that they got of getting in is winning the division. So the Falcons and rookie Michael Penix Jr. now have an opportunity to win the South, and not just win the South. By winning your division, of course, you get a home playoff game. So, you know, Penix, who started his first game in Week 16, is now, you know, possibly going to be starting a home playoff game with just 3 career starts. It's nuts. So that's a couple of looks at the playoffs picture in the NFC. In the AFC, we told you, obviously, the Chiefs are now locked in at number 1. The Bills are 2. The Ravens did overtake the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they're now the 3rd seed. And, boy, the Texans look really bad, huh? Texans only scored 2 points at home against the Ravens.
We heard that score and we said 2? Are you sure 2?
I couldn't believe it. Speaking about a tough score, too, Thursday Night Football, the Seahawks beat the Bears 6-3. I mean, that looked like
They said that's like the lowest score in like there was a
of this season.
This season,
Yeah,
a 6-3.
Yeah, that's a baseball score. I mean, that's Mariners White Sox. So that was a very low scoring game. And then also I did want to mention that Saquon Barkley needs 268 yards to become the 9th rusher in the 2000.
He's having such a great year.
For me, he's the MVP. I mean, he's having a monster campaign this year, and he's looking to become the 9th member of the 2000 Rush Club for running backs. And it's not even close. Like Eric Dickerson has a record. He has an outside chance of passing Dickerson, but all those rushers, they're just barely over 2,000. It's not like nobody has a separation. It's all like 2,000 and under 100 yards. So it's remarkable. All of them did it in 16 games, except for O.J. Simpson, who was the first member of the club. He did it in a 14-game season. So even though I disagree with a lot of things O.J. did,
I know
primarily 2 things, but
bad person to bring up,
and the fact he's a Buffalo Bill, boo. But hey,
there's worse things that he did in the play with Buffalo. You realize that, right?
I know.
Buffalo's the least of his problems.
That's why I said 2 things, as in 2
the least of
homicides. But
no,
he did it in 14 games. You gotta give him credit for that. I guess.
Saquon, the best thing he ever did was leave New York. His career would have died there.
Yeah.
And speaking of New York, Aaron Rodgers, you stay in New York too, your career's gonna die there. New York is a place of dreams, the magic, all this and that. But sometimes you gotta, you know what I mean? Like Saquon, by him leaving, and Aaron Rodgers, you don't want to end your career. So that's what I'm saying. Saquon has plenty of gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
But if he was to extend a contract to stay there, it just would have been travesty.
No doubt. And so if you want to check into the room here, but you got you mentioned the Aaron Rodgers situation. It's very possible that you're going to have the Dolphins be Aaron Rodgers' final opponent in his Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame career, because it looks like, that's going to be it for him. I don't see him coming back to the Jets, and I just don't see him starting again with another team. I don't know who would give him a shot.
But he's not going to go sign as a backup either. He's not going to end his
Of course
career
not.
like that.
So
he has some decisions to make.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Next week against the Dolphins could very well be the final game ever for Aaron Rodgers, which would be pretty crazy.
That's a reason to go up there. Just saying.
Maybe.
Good morning, youngsters. Can't believe you got up so early. Well, it is icky.
We had a holiday week this week, so we couldn't really do a show on obviously Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Thursday we were traveling back. So wanted to do a show before the Dolphins, while the Dolphins are still alive right now.
I know. Because if things don't go our way today, we already got enough bad news with Richmond via terrible bad news. Speaking of bad news, since we're still in the NFL, the world, actually 2 things, right? I don't think we announced before our last show, Ricky Henderson passed.
Yes.
We found that out. You heard it through the rumor wheel. And, I was like, until we actually get word of it happening, because, news stations, sometimes they do that. And then we kind of waited. And then big news stations like New York Post and NBC picked it up that Ricky Henderson died. And then we found out just yesterday that Greg Gumbel died too.
Yes.
So 2024 is not ending good. Like
it's
key people of a lot of people's childhood in sports and NFL and baseball. And, we have a friend who lives in the Bay Area, Kirk, and Kirk is a huge Oakland fan. Sure. And when we spoke to him to send our condolences, he was brought to tears, and this is a grown man. So, it is part of life, but just 2 bad hits in the world of sports. Yeah,
you specifically, we'll talk to both. I'll talk on both, but I want to start by Ricky Henderson, who passed last week. And we couldn't believe it. I mean, we were hoping that it wasn't true because ESPN and MLB Network primarily did not report it. They were waiting. They were showing other things. They were breaking news on signings. So I was like, well, maybe this isn't true. But unfortunately, it came to be that it was actual. And it's very sad because we got married out in California. We saw an Oakland A's game. We actually saw the last 2 games for the Oakland A's ever in their history at the Coliseum. And, we saw Ricky Henderson throw out the first pitch.
I wore his jersey.
He threw out the first pitch for the last game of the year, last game ever in Oakland. And he looked fine. Obviously you never know what a person's
looks fine, Lou, but the thing is pneumonia. And pneumonia is a very underrated illness.
I get that. But what I'm trying to say is that he's 65 years young. That's very young age. And he looked to be in great shape, and just 3 months later, his passing is announced, and it's shock.
Okay.
And his name, by the way, was all over that. First of all, the field was named Rickey Henderson Field. It was, behind home plate.
Yeah.
They had it painted on the field. It was called Rickey Henderson Field at the Oakland Coliseum. His number obviously was retired. His number was put up on the tarp because they did not open up Mount Davis, where it's a massive upper deck section. They had his name on the tarp, his name and number on the tarp. They had a plaque outside the stadium when his jersey was officially retired many years ago. So that was put up.
He's branded all over the stadium.
And pictures, numbers. They actually do a race after the seventh inning. They do a race, and they use the cartoon heads. And it was him, Eckersley, Jose Canseco, and Catfish Hunter. So, he's just all over. He's one of the icons in baseball, specifically for his time in Oakland. But, the all-time leader in stolen bases, one of the top base on balls leaders in baseball. Everything he did, he had a combination of power and speed like no other, was a great fielder, very flashy, and one of the characters of the game, very funny.
Cool guy.
Yeah, totally.
Cool guy.
Everything about him was awesome, and it's sad that he's no longer with us because he was a great ambassador for the game.
And as I mentioned before, it was pneumonia. It wasn't like a cancer where you kind of maybe you kind of see it coming depending what type of cancer, what stage. Like this came out of clear blue, and the fact that he was only 65. But pneumonia was what I was saying before is nothing to mess around with once it gets into your lung and spreads. So, obviously we send our condolences to the whole Oakland, or not even Oakland, the A's organization, his family,
and all Rickey Henderson, and all Rickey Henderson fans everywhere, because there's so many. He also played for a lot of teams, so a lot of people, were obviously very sad to see that passing, and felt it because he played for them and brightened up their smiles when he came up and did his famous batting stance or made a play in the outfield. So yeah, it's sad times. And also Greg Gumbel. I mean, Greg Gumbel is a guy who's beyond respected in the journalistic world, specifically obviously in sports, but he's got an incredible record of all the things that he did. And he always a smile, always, with a soothing voice when he came on the air. Not only was he the pregame and postgame and halftime show for CBS for many years for the NFL. He also called games for a time there, including Super Bowls. Yeah. And he was, for me, I think of Greg Gumbel. I think of all those things, but I also, number one, think about March Madness selection show when, it comes on to that Sunday in March when you're announcing who's going to make the tournament. And he would come on and pretty much tell all of America who was the 68 teams in the field. And he just did it so gracefully, so humble, soothing voice, as I mentioned, just an overall, all-around good guy. And that was sad to see as well.
Yeah, no, a lot of losses in 2024. So hopefully 2025 will be better and less painful with some of those losses. But switching gears, what I was saying before, for those who, just want to watch the game with no implications, unless you are obsessed with the Canes and Poptart as well, there is the Poptart Bowl today. Our Canes headed up to Orlando where, again, it's one of those things where it's like, we didn't go this far just to go this far. And it's just discouraging that our season is ending in possibly a toaster, literally. But a lot of fans are heading up there. It's an easy 3.5-hour drive from here up to Orlando, and Cam Ward's playing. He wants to, finish out the season. And are we going to get 100% Cam Ward? I wouldn't be surprised, but we do know that he's going to be playing.
And I think he's crazy for doing that. He's got a lot on the line here in a meaningless game. Had this been the playoffs, obviously differently. You think differently on that, but it's a bowl game. Granted, it's a good, matchup. Iowa State Cyclones, Miami Hurricanes. I mentioned this, when the game was announced. It should have been, not sponsored by Pop-Tarts, but by the Weather Channel, because you got Cyclones and Hurricanes. Yeah. So they could have done a twist on that. But, Iowa State's a formidable team. They were actually played in the Big 12 championship where they lost to Arizona State. So they're not a slouch. They're a team
though.
No, we're not. But, this is it's going to be a good matchup. And so the Hurricanes are favored by 4 points. we'll see what happens. I just think that he's risking a lot by going out there and playing. But hey, give the Hurricanes one last show, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, even more if football's not your thing today. The Panthers play today.
Yeah, well, hold on. I want to stick to the Hurricanes because another thing happened that really shocked a lot of us. Coach Jim Larrañaga, Coach Al, as we call him down here, announced that he was retiring effective immediately from the University of Miami Hurricanes basketball team. 76 years old, 50 years coaching. Famously, he was the first coach to take the Miami Hurricanes basketball team to the Final Four, which is an incredible feat. The Miami Hurricanes basketball team started late in the 60s with Rick Barry, the most accomplished player in Canes basketball history. Then after a short time, they actually disbanded the program. So the program went away for about 15 years and came back and really had a tough time getting into the flow of things. And Jim Larrañaga came in here and set the program to a whole new level and took us, as mentioned, to the Final Four. So that was an amazing run that he did. Previously to being the Hurricane coach, he was at George Mason University, a very nondescript, small, university, not an athletic powerhouse like you think about, and he took them to the Final Four. So this is a guy who's a Hall of Fame, all-time coach, 76 years old, 50 years coaching, and retired. And I hate to say it, but I got to admit it. He said that he wanted to retire because he could not stand the way college basketball and
all NIL deals. It's turning into a nasty business. And you're seeing this all the way from high school. Not that high school players are getting paid, but you're seeing so much politics. Even in my hometown, I read the hometown news that we get every week. Our softball coach, who is one of the most winningest softball coaches in New Jersey history, might actually be the winningest, retired abruptly because of it. So it just takes politics, and you take away the soul and the heart of the game and the recruiting aspect and just make it ugly. And Jim just isn't that guy and doesn't want anything to do with that.
He was there to coach the kids is what he wanted to do. He didn't want to, it's one thing about selling your program, right? Hey, come to Miami or come wherever, the coach is trying to sell the program. That's one thing. But to sell, hey, you could get an INL deal for this restaurant, or I can give you a connection to a car dealership that's going to help you, do this and that.
TikTok.
That's crazy. Yeah. And then bigger than the INL, believe it or not, in my opinion, is the transfer portal. The transfer portal has become an absolute joke to the college game. I mean, it used to be that if you wanted to leave a school because, you didn't like the coach, the new coach, you signed up to pay for a coach, and now that coach has gone to another school, you got an exception, but you had to sit out a year. Or if some new recruit comes in and you're going to be behind the depth chart, okay, but you have to sit out a year. Now it's not like that. Now you can enter the transfer portal. You can even enter the transfer portal mid-season and be on another team, within the calendar year. Not that same season, but within the calendar year. It's ridiculous.
But that shows your teammates that, hey, I don't want to be here anyways. I want to leave. So
correct.
What type of camaraderie and culture are you creating there?
Nothing. Exactly. You're not going to have that. And again, you want to make an exception for one or two times because you're just not feeling well on the campus, or the coach that you signed up to play for left. Great. But to play, there's one kid that's played in four schools in 4 years. There's another kid that's been in 5 schools in 7 years. Yeah. I mean, this is just getting out of control. That's not transfer portal. That's free agency. So they really need to do away with that because it's killing the game. You're not going to build any interest if you got, 3 different players on your squad every year and a guy going to another team who's your rival, or your rival school, should say, not even team. This is not professional sports. It's college sports. It's amateur sports. And that's what they need to go back to.
I agree.
I feel bad for Coach Al. Class act all the way around.
A lot of other coaches are on the league. Even my beloved Rick Pitino made a comment about it. So
it sucks.
It does.
But Rick Pitino's still young. And Rick Pitino is also, in addition, he's twofold. In addition to being a great coach, which he is, Coach Pitino will go down as one of the greatest coaches ever coached ever. But you just said he's a dog. He's a dog. He's a go-getter. He's a hustler. So Rick Pitino,
he was actually at the Dolphins game.
He was. That's right. He was in the 72 club at the Dolphins game.
He knows some people.
But he does. He knows a lot of people. But Rick Pitino can do that. Coach L didn't want to do that. Coach L just wanted to, hey, give me 12, or not give me. He wants to select 12 guys who he has obviously a fondness for, and they have a fondness for him because they all loved him. And he wants to say, hey, tip the ball up, and I'm going to coach my ass off, and I'm going to coach my basketball team. He doesn't want all the extra stuff, and he shouldn't have to deal with that. And I feel bad because, again, he's a coach that just wanted to coach his guys.
Agreed.
So, yeah, that sucks.
So, Canes will be looking for a new head coach. Anybody want to put the name in the ringer? Big shoes to fill.
Hey, you just mentioned one of them, Rick Pitino.
No.
Come on down.
No, you stay at St. John's, man. You
come on down, Rick.
No,
Call me, Rick.
No. You're
we'll
fine.
Talk.
No, Rick, you are fine where you're at.
He has a home down here. I'm just saying.
Nope, he's fine.
I don't want to start that rumor down here.
Do not recruit.
But the ACC is a lot better than the Big East, buddy.
Oh, no,
Come on down.
Big East is the best basketball. Big East is literally the best basketball.
We'll see.
You don't think Big East is the best basketball?
We'll see.
Oh, please. The Big
East
is it. Look, it's stacked. It is stacked.
We'll see about that. But either way, going back to that.
Listen to him.
This is why I don't think Belichick's going to survive in college sports. I just don't see him.
It's totally different beast, yeah.
I get it, but I don't.
It's totally different beast when you coach in pros and then drop down to.
Yeah, I don't see Belichick going to houses.
He's obviously doing that for a different reason, Liv. Yeah. He's not doing it just because he wants to.
I don't see Belichick had a hard time with the draft. I don't see him. Going through the draft. Portal and looking at names. Oh, that guy over there can help.
He's not going to. That's why he has people to do it, and his son's going to take the position right after him. He's setting it up for his legacy.
I get it.
And to look at college girls. So, whatever.
I think that second part is more likely.
So, whatever. Moving forward, though, guys, as mentioned before, Poptart Bowl today. We also have the Panthers playing Montreal Canadians. Yep. Oh, my gosh. Talking about Canada, how about Donald Trump, what he said? If Canada wants to be another state of the United States, did you hear that? And he was true about that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting all those teams and, that'd be... Would you still play the Canadian national anthem?
No. Of course you would.
No.
Yeah, I think you would.
You would not because now they're part of the U.S.
No, it doesn't. You play Puerto Rican national anthem when they, hold stuff there. I know they're not a state officially, but they're U.S. territory. So, yeah, I think they would.
Anyways.
I like the Canadian national anthem.
I sing it. I since the Panthers, against the Oilers in the Stanley Cup, they always played the Canadian national anthem. I picked up on it.
Yeah, it's a really good.
And then when I'm singing, you're like, "Don't sing it," and I'm like, "Oh, Canada." It's catchy. It's a beautiful national.
It really is. It's a good national.
Anyways, our Panthers play home. It's a home game today against the Montreal Canadiens.
At 1 p.m. 1 p.m. puck drop.
And then the Heat are in Atlanta against the Hawks. So
that is a 3 p.m. tip-off today. So a lot of sports on the TV today to watch.
One thing, we're not about rumors. We like to just get down to the business and just say it how it is. We're crushing the rumors. Jimmy Butler, the talks of him getting traded.
What's that? We're crushing the rumors. Pat Riley crushed the rumors.
We are the voice of Pat Riley. We are his minions. And we are spreading the message that Jimmy Butler is not getting traded. So Shams, all his this, that, cut it. You even said it on Christmas Day. Oh, Jimmy wants to only go to 2-3 teams. Cut it. Stop being distracted. It's a distraction to our team right now. Our team that is very up and down. Yes, we had a great win against the Magic the other day, but then we also blew this and that. Jimmy is not on the trading blocks right now. Can it happen in the future? Absolutely. Nothing is, he's not locked. But just stop it. We are mid-season.
Well,
it's
look,
not going to happen.
A couple of things here. Number one, the rumors started, were circling out there. It looked like it was leaked by somebody to say the Heat were just, actively inquiring as to what they could get back for him. Jimmy was asked about it. He said he didn't really mind it. He kind of was flirting. He was kind of flirting with the idea.
Yeah.
But then the rumors came out, or not rumors, it was reported that Jimmy flat out asked for a move out. And then Pat Riley said, no, you're under contract. Pat Riley's comment even said, we normally don't respond to these kind of rumors, but in light of the situation, we want to put it out there that we are not trading Jimmy Butler. So that was, Pat Riley felt compelled to say that. Now, the ball is in Jimmy's court because he still hasn't responded or reported back to the team since this all came out. So, and look, I love Jimmy. He's taking us to 2 NBA finals and almost took us to a third. He was one shot away in Game 7 against the Celtics and taking us to a third NBA finals. We would have met the Warriors. The Warriors were banged up that year, and I thought we would have had a shot. So, I love Jimmy. cannot fault Jimmy. But I will say that Jimmy is a very,
colorful,
he's
extra,
a very
high maintenance.
He's a character. He's a character. He's a little bit eclectic. He'll do it his way. You see by the hair color, by the different, things that he does. He's really funny in doing some of those things, but sometimes
distractions.
He does it correct. Sometimes he does it in a manner that rubs people the wrong way, specifically an old school guy like Pat Riley. So we'll see.
That's good. That's said very
Jimmy
well.
is ultimately going to have the last word. Jimmy's made a lot of money in his career, and should he want to prove a point, I could see him say, all right, then you're not going to trade me. I'm not going to play anymore until my contract's up.
Jimmy's also not 26 years old either. Jimmy's 35 years old.
He's 35, you're right. And that's why I think the market wasn't going to give a lot back because of the fact that he's a player on decline. And that's why I also think, and I kind of hinted at this last week, but I'll solidify it this week on this week's show. It is in his best interest to finish his career as a Miami Heat for a couple reasons. Number one, and that's the biggest one. Yes. If you want a legacy, the only place where he could do a legacy is in Miami. All right, because he's been to Philadelphia, didn't do anything there. I mean, he had a good personal stats, but they didn't go to the finals. No. He didn't do much in the playoffs in Minnesota, and he was, a first round out guy in Chicago. So here, the fact that he's been to 2 NBA finals, the fact that he's amongst the top leaders in triple doubles for the franchise. He's going to be up there in scoring. He holds all the playoff records pretty much in scoring. More than LeBron, more than D Wade, more than Shaq, more than Alonzo Mourning, more than Chris Bosh. All these guys that have played for us that are Hall of Famers. Jimmy Butler is actually the top scorer in the playoffs. So his legacy could be stamped here with a jersey retirement and
statue.
I don't know about a statue, but definitely a jersey retirement. If he finishes his career with the Heat, he will have his number 22 retired with the Heat. And I'm all for it. He 100% deserves that. 100%. Now, if he rubs Pat Riley the wrong way and he forces the way out, that's all bets are off. Pat Riley, who, by the way, LeBron James is going to have his jersey retired, obviously, right? But to this day, Pat Riley doesn't bring up LeBron James' name up. Never does. He'll talk about the 2012 and 2013 championship teams. He'll do all that, but he does not mention LeBron James' name because he's mad at the way LeBron left. So the same thing happened with Jimmy Butler.
I'd lose your voice on that one.
A little bit. I'm getting a little passionate. So
I hear you. Yeah. No, guys. So no Jimmy Butler leaving, at least for this year. So stop the rumble of it. It's distracting. No one needs the extra clickbait. It's not happening. And it's just stop.
I agree.
Stop. Anyways, guys, it has been fun today. Obviously, we started the show with not great news. We found out about 2 hours ago that our beloved Richmond Webb did not go on to the top 15 that will be potentially going into Canton. This year is not his year. Does not mean we are going to stop the fight. If anything, it is more fuel for us. We're going to keep pushing forward, and hopefully we'll get him there one day. Obviously the elephant in the room is eligibility. That this is not something that you keep doing every year and every year and every year until it happens.
No, that's what we're doing. We're going to do that until it happens. Right now, he's got 2 years left of eligibility in the modern day candidate. After that, we don't want it to even get to the next step, but he's got 2 more years left where we could get him in as a modern day candidate. And that's what we're going to keep on trying to do. He first time that he made the semifinalist list, the final 25, and he just didn't make it to the finalists. It's the final 15. But there is, obviously he improved this year in getting to that semifinalist stage. Hopefully next year he can get to this round, and then from that round get in. And that's what we're going for. I'm wearing his shirt right now. I know you got your bracelet on. We have his this is his locker room sticker that he signed, which is awesome. Same thing with the shirt, the sticker with all his accomplishments on there. This is a guy who he battled for many years, Bruce Smith, and Bruce Smith will tell you, another 78, the all-time sack leader in NFL history. He'll tell you that Richmond Webb belongs in the Hall of Fame with all the battles that he had twice a year as a member of the Buffalo Bills. And we had these, the last time we were in Canada 2 years ago, we had this towel made up where we celebrated Zach Thomas. We said, congrats, Zach. Number 54 is in. Number 78 is next. Richmond Webb belongs in the Hall. So, we're hoping that, that we could have this same campaign next year. It obviously worked. It got them to the semifinal round. And we're going to keep on. We're going to keep on doing it, getting the word out there, getting more people on board, letting the Hall of Fame know. And hopefully next year, this time, we're celebrating him being in the final 15.
And booking a trip to Canton next year.
We had a great time. So many great things to see in Canton. If you've never been, highly recommend it. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, in my opinion. I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, but not yet. But I heard that for all the Hall of Fames, I heard that the Pro Football Hall of Fame is the best one. So if you haven't been, you got to go.
Thank you, Kat, for those words. Good job, guys. You did good this season. Yeah, it has been a long season this year. Obviously, we got married. We broke the big rule of who gets married during football season.
Right.
But even so, it has been, and it's not over yet, right? We mentioned earlier in the show the what ifs, the percentages that the Dolphins could still be in the playoffs, but reality is what reality is. And, it has been a fun ride this year.
Yeah. Look, it's unsettling whenever you don't control your own destiny. When you leave it up to other teams to do your work for you, it always is unsettling and it sucks because you don't have control over it. Despite they can go out tomorrow and beat Cleveland 99-0 and set a record, and then they can go out next week and beat the Jets 105-0. But if other teams don't do their part, no matter what you do in these games, it doesn't matter. And so that sucks. And I think when the time comes, and it's not now because we're still alive, but I think you're going to see that, losing Tua, and even without Tua, losing a game on the road to the Colts, which was a winnable game, dropping the game a couple weeks ago in Houston was tough with a healthy Tua. Losing at Green Bay was tough. They had opportunities where they could have. The game at home against Arizona, we'll get more into that. Should things not fall our way here in the next week and a half.
We'll do a recap of the season.
Yeah.
Kind of go week by week what went wrong.
But we had a great chance. So not only that, but even after, whenever the Dolphin season ends, we're going to keep on doing shows. We're going to have playoff previews. We're going to get your playoff picks, taking you all the way to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Super Bowl's in New Orleans this year. Super Bowl 59.
Wow.
So we'll definitely have that coming up for you.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoy your Saturday. As mentioned before, there is a lot of sports going on. Tons of great bowl games, including our Canes playing at the Poptart Bowl. Then we have the Heat playing today and also the Panthers. And I've got the Fins tomorrow, 4 o'clock game. So you get to enjoy your morning, go to church, have a nice brunch, watch some 1 o'clock games, and 4 o'clock again. You
mentioned the Panthers. Got to get out of here at Cats Corner, recapping those champion Cats. They've, since our last show, they're now tied with the Toronto Maple Leafs in first place. So they're 22-12, and they're tied with the Maple Leafs. They're in fourth place overall. The Devils are actually in first place. Those New Jersey Devils.
How about them?
I know Kirk was in the room there, so I know Kirk's a Devil fan. But those Devils are in first place right now. But the Panthers are coming. They're 7-3 in their last 10. You mentioned they're hosting the Canadians today at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. puck drop from the Amerant Bank Arena. So those Cats are roaring and trying to get back to defend their Stanley Cup champion.
I miss go Cats, go roar. You know what I mean?
Like, we haven't been to a game from opening day, obviously with the NFL schedule and for the NFL and the Heat games that are right close to us.
It's okay.
We've been busy.
And we don't live the closest. Ameren's a good hour from us. So.
It's an hour away, but we got to get back and support our Cats because they are the best team of the 4 professional teams in South Florida. They are the best one going right now, and they deserve
until the Marlins start in March. Dude, I am the most hopeful, happiest Marlins fan. I'm telling you, I think it's because I just love baseball. Baseball is my heart and soul. And I know we've made some really questionable decisions off season, and there's not a lot of light. Okay.
There's no some about it. They've been horrible.
I just love. There's nothing like spring training, the crack of the bat, opening day, and is this going to be our year? The heck no.
No, we know it's not going to be a year.
The Mets stacked up, and I'm sure the Phillies are going to do more things, and the Braves, and I know it's not maybe our year this year, but there's just nothing like baseball and.
And you had the tweet of the century. I wish a lot of people more would have appreciated it, but I know there's just not a lot of Marlins fans out there, unfortunately. But you mentioned the Phillies, and the Marlins traded our second best pitcher, Jesus Luzardo, to the Philadelphia Phillies, who was a division rival. That was horrible. And Jesus obviously means Jesus in English. And
for Christmas.
You tweeted out that leave it to the Marlins to trade Jesus 3 days before Christmas. And that's exactly what they did.
Even better, I said it to my boss that Monday morning, and he's a priest, Catholic priest, one of the biggest down here. And he tweeted it. He was like, one of my coworkers said this, and he tweeted that out, being a high-profile Catholic priest, that the Marlins literally treated Jesus.
It's
terrible,
true,
but I don't care. I do care. I'm lying. I care so much, but I'm just, despite how this Dolphins season ends up panning out and how the Heat, up and down the roller coasters, I am really looking forward, just like you are looking forward to March Madness, despite Arizona, how they're doing so far. Right. It's just things that we look forward to every year. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup defending champions reside in our neck of the woods, and I'm looking forward to them defending their title. So I'm looking forward to a nice playoff run. And I am still looking forward to spring training, right? Spring training is like the ultimate, eternal hope. You start the season 0-0. Everybody goes out there. You see what everybody's doing. But the Marlins have one guy left. And at this point, you have to embrace it. You just got to embrace the fact that you're trading, all these guys to build a future.
I could do a whole show right now of how I truly feel about them. You're trading for prospects. Prospects are like.
Yeah, but at this point, they've traded their entire team. And
my understanding.
Right. Well, that's coming.
Don't even say
that. Is coming. But anyways, you're trading the entire team for prospects in the hope
that they turn out to be something.
That a good amount of them are going to turn out to be something. So, and that's what at this point you have no other choice. You just got to accept.
Let's get all this negativity. We spoke about Richmond, Greg Gumbel. Now we're talking about the Marlins. Anyways, guys, enjoy your Saturday. We're between obviously Christmas. For those who celebrate Hanukkah, you are in the 4th or 5th day of Hanukkah. So, hope you are enjoying that with your family. And then we have New Year's. So, we'll definitely do a show before the New Year's. We'll talk about New Year's resolutions and we'll know a lot tomorrow. We'll know a lot by tomorrow of the fate of our Dolphins, and we'll see.
Yep. And so we didn't get our score prediction. So guys in the room, drop your score prediction. I'll give you mine really quick. I think the Dolphins, depending on what happens today, I believe that if the results go their way today, they're going to be playing everybody tomorrow, and I don't see why they would not destroy the Browns tomorrow. And so I'm going to pick the Dolphins winning 33-17.
Oh, I knew you were going to say 17. I almost said it, but I didn't want to.
33-17 Dolphins tomorrow. What do you got?
Kirk's in their house, 31-13 Fins.
All right. Kind of similar. I think it's going to be a big win for the Fins tomorrow.
I mean, okay, so it's not going to be freezing in Cleveland, but it's going to be nasty and
62
rainy.
Degrees for those of you that are contemplating your picks right now.
We love that temperature in the house.
62 degrees expected game time kickoff temperature weather tomorrow off the shores of Lake Erie in Cleveland. What do you got?
It's like you said. It's if you were to ask me this question tomorrow, my answer might be completely different. But right now, off the flies back, I would say 24-10 Dolphins.
24-10. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
So as long as the defense holds them,
Oh, the defense will hold them. Not only will the defense hold them, but James Winston.
So they get the Jets too, and look how that turned out.
Right. Well.
So Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So I said my score. Kirk's got his. You got yours. So I think we're golden. I think we got the scores that we need out there, and hopefully it's a Dolphin win. Hopefully the right results happen today. We're still live, and we got a shot next week. That's all you can ask for, right?
Yes. So with that, leave you guys with the music Daydreaming, because we can only daydream today, and just hope everything.
Is that really what it's called?
It is called. The other one's Into Space, but this is Daydreaming. This is your favorite music.
This is the one I like.
This is the one you like because you daydream.
I do daydream a lot.
So, guys, have a great Saturday. If it's raining where you are, like it is here in Miami, post up in your favorite Christmas pajamas and watch some great games today all around the leagues. Lots of action going on, and hopefully Canes can win the Poptart Bowl. Panthers and Pete become victorious. Some teams lose that we need to. Dolphins gonna win.
Yep, and I obviously got New Year's coming up next Tuesday, New Year's Eve, Wednesday, New Year's Day. So hopefully you guys have gotten your New Year's resolutions in and getting ready to conquer 2025. Crush it. So we're looking forward to that. And hopefully lots of good things, lots of good blessings for yourselves out there and for your families. Before we get out of here, I want to remind you, if you can, please give this show today a like. Hit that like button down there. And if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It is free. We appreciate all the support and help we can get. And so that would go a long way. And the most important thing is, remember, Richmond Webb belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peace out, guys.